Hello, dear leaders, pastors, missionaries, bishops, anyone, volunteers. I just want to share my heart with you today. During COVID, I felt a special desire to share experiences that I have had over 55 years, almost 55 years in full-time ministry, and how that I've learned a lot, but sometimes I learn the hard way. I also have a website, which is called Karen Ming Live, and you can get on there. I have some other lessons. Is why do I do what I do? What season am I in? And of course, today I'm going to do 2 is better than 1. And this is really special to me because I think so many times we just do things by ourselves and we don't have to. I remember my father was a pastor of 2 churches, and I grew up at a pastor's home, and he never became a Christian until he was in his mid-30s. And when he became a Christian, though, he did not have a mentor or a spiritual father. And he didn't get to go to seminars like we do today. And I saw him struggle so much in how to reach his community and how to go forward. And then even my husband and I, when we got married and we started our ministry, we knew right away we need some help. We need to have those that we can go to and ask questions and talk to them. And what a blessing this was. I thought about Ecclesiastes 4, and Solomon actually talks about the case of a man who was alone. And in verse 9 through 12, it says, 2 people are better off than 1, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But if someone who falls alone, he is in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. So I want to share just a few points with you about us creating a team and not being alone, and how even 2 plus 2 can equal more than 4. And so my first point today is it is not good to be alone in your journey. Verse 9 says, for they can help each other succeed. Sometimes we're in a situation where we live far away, and we're not close to people who can really help us as we desire. But today there's really no excuse that we have to be in ministry alone. There are conferences, seminars, there are so many books written on leadership. And I believe there are pastors and leaders who are willing to pour into us if we just ask them. So do what it takes to be mentored by someone or who can be your spiritual father and or mother. It is so easy to do things the way we do it. We do it over and over again, and we expect different results. But I want to say that God can lead us to the right people to help us. And not only that, when he does, then we're to turn around and be a mentor to someone else. That is how we grow. Number 2 is 2 people are better than 1. This is the title. Verse 10 to 12 said, we have protection, for they can stand back to back and conquer. I believe that life ministry is not to be in isolation, and we're not to be alone, but it is to be shared. It's to have companionship. Sometimes we feel like, well, if I share with someone or if someone gets close to me, I will be hurt. You might be hurt. I was hurt. I was betrayed, but I was hurt and betrayed, and I was alone when that happened. And I also was hurt and betrayed when I had people who were working with me, but I did have those that stood by my side and helped walk me through those situations. It's so much easier that way. We're not to serve ourselves, but we're to serve God and to serve others. I thought in the New Testament of Paul and Timothy, Paul was the teacher, Timothy was the student. And all through the New Testament, you can see where Paul gives Timothy instruction on what to do, how to do, and he walked alongside him. And I want to make this personal right here. Remember to begin your team with your family. Not every pastor's wife will play the piano, will be a teacher. Maybe they will only take care of you and your family. But 2 in spirit, 2 in prayer, 2 in purpose. and plans will always succeed. I really know that sometimes pastors' wives or leaders' wives can be the most lonely people ever. Also, involve your children. Our boys started playing drums, the bass guitar, the keyboard, and they practiced on the congregation. And the congregation was their family. They saw difficult times. They saw good times, but they were family. And thank God they grew up and they still love ministry. And number 3, this is the most important: build and fight for your team members. In in chapter 4, verses 10 to 12, it talks about a person can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. We must build our team. This is so important. I know in our early years, we did a lot of jobs. We did many jobs. We taught Sunday school class. We were over the choir. We were over the youth department. It seemed like that we had our hands in so many different areas. And this is okay for a while, but I believe this is not God's plan. And also, I believe that sometimes we can feel inadequate to train different leaders. And inadequacy is okay if it doesn't rule us, because when God calls us, He equips us, and we have to realize that we can do all things through Him that would help in our ministry. We may think it's too hard. Sometimes I think that we make it much harder than it is. But look at your vision. Dream big. What do you want for your community? When I think of a community or a village or whatever, I think of children. I think of how that children need someone that can relate to them, someone that can talk to them on their level, teach on their level. And because children will come if there's someone that will love them and care for them. I think of the youth. They're the energy. They're the life of your church. And I think we have to have someone that relates to young people and can reach them. I thought of pastoral care. I think sometimes this is really overlooked. I remember when we were pastoring, my husband went to visit the hospitals all the time, of course. And as the church grew, then he had to go to more hospitals in more towns, and he found himself just running and sometimes struggling to have time for prayer and study. If we could have just had someone to help him in this area. However we train, we don't have to start with a huge team. Just remember this. Start with one by one. The one that maybe you need the most in the situation that you're in as you build your ministry or build your business, whatever this is. Find someone who is teachable, is loyal, someone who is a prayer partner, and you can pour into them. In one of the conferences, I learned a principle that I wish I had learned early in my ministry or in my life. And it said that we don't have to be in a classroom to train leaders. We can be on the job training. And they gave the illustration of the pastoral care, for example. You take someone with you to the hospital to visit the sick, and they're with you. They see what happens and how you take this situation in your hands. And then you turn it around, number 2, and then you release it to them, and you're with them, and you tell them, now it's your turn to do what you've seen me do over these weeks or over this time. And then, of course, they go ahead and they can train others as well. And so we begin to grow and multiply ourselves. So this principle works in any area. And I want to say that God will place the right people in your flock. I have a pastor friend who has a very large church, and he wrote a book, There's a Miracle in Your House. Sometimes we can look at another church and we think, if I had some people in their church, I could do what they do as well. But I think what happens a lot of times, we do not see the help. We do not see those in our own church that has the potential that God has given to us. And we have to train them. God calls them, but we have to be aware of them, and then we begin to love and train them. I think of when we teach and train and people begin to hold up our arms. What happens in that? Number one, to hold up your arms means that they may take the job, not the pastors or the main job, of course, but they may take the job that you're training them for. And with their personality and their gifts, then they take it to a whole new level. See, you didn't have time and you couldn't give your undivided attention to that task or job. And then when they hold up your arms, they catch your vision. They begin to pray. They begin to serve. See, you can only do as much as you have energy for. And then we stand back to back. We stand hand in hand in the good and the difficult times, in war or in peace. Hopefully not war. But we learn from each other and we gain strength. So I want to encourage you with these words today. Don't isolate yourself and try to do it alone. I think that was my generation perhaps, and people are learning now how important it is to train and have those come alongside us. It is harder, I think, for us at times, but I have found out we must get out of our box. We must begin to seek those to help create a team and be a member of that team. Maybe you already have a great team, but I pray these words will encourage you. Maybe you need to increase your team. Maybe you need to make some changes in your team. Maybe you need to start just with one and begin to create someone that can really help you explode in growth and multiply. I just pray this will be a blessing. If you have any questions, you have any comments, please contact me. I do know how to pray, and I'm here to help you. I want to create a community to where we can share, and I can share my heart, and I can be a blessing to you. God bless you. Thank you for listening to me.